Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another great day of the KeSPA Cup. We got one matchup, but it's going to be a big one. BBQ Olivers up against the ES Sharks. BBQ with their new roster, including a foreign player from Sweden and a foreign coach in LS.
And we are the foreign stream. We're the global stream here, giving you all this information, and finally having some representatives in Korea. Very long history of competitive play here. Finally having global representatives, really cool to see how they do here. The final game of this round of 16 in the first round robin. So guys, round of 16 ends, we go into a round of 8 in the first round robin, then a round of 8 in the second round robin, then the more traditional semifinals and finals. Just a point of interest, semifinals and finals are best of 5 for the best of 5s, with 2 stages away from that.
Yeah, still a lot of KeSPA Cup to get through. There's going to be a whole week next week, 6 days in a row, and then of course the finals on the final day of the year, the 31st. But today, we are only going to have that one matchup, BBQ Olivers up against the ES Sharks. Bit of a shorter day, but definitely a historic one. Definitely a lot to talk about for these two teams going head-to-head.
And it's just a kind of a surreal thing to finally have this moment, because it eventually felt like an inevitability. For the longest time, it was a one-way thing. Korean players imported overseas. Happened very, very early. You think of INSEC in 2014. That was one of the first ones, joined by Zero on Royal Never Give Up and RNG, and Royal at the time went to the World Finals. Their Starhorn Royal Club. So that was the one-way street. But since then, the players being imported, I thought it would be a Chinese player. Honestly, when it came to specifically this offseason, when we didn't know where Deft was going, I was like, what if Deft and Mako again? What if that happened? But that's not the way it is. We get it here in the BBQ Olivers, and it's with a very familiar face. The LCK fans, former LCK global caster LS, so that's so cool to see. He's going to be their coach on screen very shortly, so LS fans, something good to show you guys soon. And the player, that's even more surreal, right? We will have Korean... no Korean jungler here. It's going to be a Swedish jungler. Sebastian Edholm. Malice. Great name choice there. How he fares and how they'll deal with a mixed language roster in a domestic Korean event is going to be so interesting to track.
It's just such an interesting picture that we get on our screen right now. The Swedish jungler bringing a bit of EU and a bit of NA in, with LS sitting in the middle, obviously going to be one of the coaches, for sure, the drafting coach and the analytical coach. Can't wait to see what kind of thing he will concoct, and if they can have a nice little pick and ban going into their first match against the ES Sharks, because I would expect some fun stuff out of this team.
When it comes to LCK experience on the BBQ side, all those BBQ names that got relegated in 10th spot last year, they're all gone. Zeus is actually a former Longzhu gaming player, was substitute to Gorilla in 2016, just a substitute. Did not only played about 4 games on that 2016 lineup for Longzhu Gaming, so not finding a lot of success there. Went over to Turkey and now back in Korea for BBQ Olivers. He'll be the starting support today. Everyone else, no LCK experience, no pro experience for the other 4 players, but they're players, some of which have been even identified by LS as prodigious talents on the ladder. And now they're actually getting that debut, just like so many other players in the KeSPA Cup.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of other players come in and really succeed and impress us before. Can't wait to see which of these players will do just that. We're taking a look at the ES Sharks lineup here as well. A bit of a new roster for them on the other side of the rim.
And the player most people, I think, would have heard of but not necessarily remember is Jisoo, their top laner. This guy actually played on the SEA All-Stars back at All-Star 2017, just about a year ago, and impressed in some of the matches at that tournament. He is definitely a talented top laner here, and the battle against Hokong will be a very fun one to track. Elsewhere, there is also LCK experience. Catch played on Splendor Sonic Boom way back when. That was in 2015 summer, my first split casting the LCK. Nayeon is a name that people know, but probably for the wrong reasons. He was, of course, on the Origin lineup that heavily struggled in 2017 spring and went on the longest professional streak of losing. Not a winning streak, a losing streak. Is actually the only player to be retained from ES Sharks, so kind of mid-table in the Challengers Korea Summer run. They were very much a mid-table team, and Nayeon definitely isn't going to be seen as someone who's going to come out as a world beater, but how he does, again, against a player with no professional experience is going to be fun to track.
Yeah, can't just wait to get into this lineup here. Of course, we have some match points here. The two teams did meet before, but of course, totally different roster. It's the first time for a Korean team ever to recruit a foreign coach and a foreign player individually. The players who are making their debut today, you were talking about some of them. We have 4 of them on the lineup of BBQ making their debut here in the KeSPA Cup 2018.
And of course, we were able to talk to LS. So how's the preparation going? What's your expectations? He sounded very, very confident, that's for sure. Said scrims were going well. Scrims to the actual pro game feels like there's that 3-step process of solo queue and kind of top-level solo queue to scrims. We've had plenty of scrim gods, and then actually being able to play in that pro game. This is an official pro game, even though it's not a Riot tournament. It is seen as professional competition, so that step up could definitely be real. And the step up for LS himself as a coach who has coached professionally before outside Korea, but now inside Korea, that's going to be fun to see.
Yeah, I mean, this is definitely a stepping stone for him as well. Can he kind of prove himself on the next stage alongside a bunch of other new players that essentially he had a big hand in handpicking from the solo queue ladder, and just from hearing Korea and all that stuff. It's really cool to see. I just can't wait to get started into this first pick and ban. Looks like we're almost there. Although I have jinxed it before, Papa Smithy. We don't want that to happen again.
We got things to come. We got a pick and ban on 824B. Once again, no Nico enabled as far as we've been made aware, but we'll get a visual confirmation to get all that information out there. Hearing some good news, seems like the pick and ban on schedule.
Looks like we are ready to go, guys. So jumping into pick and ban for game number 1. Let's take a look here. BBQ will be on the blue side with ES Sharks on the red.
There it is, that confirmation. Nico is global banned. Patch 824B, so live servers we are playing on, so you guys should be very well aware with some of the adjustments, but we will outline them if they come up again. Will it be tournament meta, or will it be something a bit different? LS is known for his strong opinions on champions and his love of Annie, so will we see any crazy stuff for the BBQ Olivers? This is certainly a great place to make a big impression.
You know, the Annie in this meta, I'm going to have to say no, Papa Smithy. I know a lot of people are going to want to see it, but there are definitely bigger picks, and already Alistair, Camille, Galio do make a lot of sense. Looks like they've been doing their research.
So what first pick they're reaching for? They haven't banned any Flex Assassins, and now we see Aatrox and Aurelia banned on the red side. Akali priority is not always first pick status, either in Korea or over in the Demacia Cup. It does depend on how much trust you put in some of your players. Annie Hover comes in, thank you very much. But it will be a Varus first pick here for the side of BBQ. Already pretty conspicuous, Varus. That's with Lucian up. Lucian and Ezreal are up. Yeah. And we see a first pick Varus. All right, LS. Let's see if this is going to be a flex. We saw some mid lane Varus played by Yukal, for KT Rolster in summer. But now at least all we know is Varus on the side of BBQ. ESS, ES Sharks, or ESS as their abbreviation shows, have kind of basically most of the contested picks available to consider here. It's going to be a first round Urgot already, ostensibly for Jisoo, but we know that could be a flex pick as well.
Yeah, definitely a lot of options here. BBQ will get the 2 rest of them, though, and there is a lot still left available. You notice that they take away that Tahm Kench early. They don't want to give this kind of immobile Varus any more safety coming into the lineup. Maybe that's what BBQ and the side of LS were thinking about taking in the next round, but that is going to be denied.
I have to wonder if LS has been impressing the virtues of Jungle Tahm Kench, one of his ultra favorites. Who's to say how much impact we'll see? The hovers, of course, are mostly just for reactions. So
I wonder if the Korean side gets that at all. They're like, oh, you know, like,
I mean,
that makes sense, you know?
It is possible. They have come across them, and of course they were co-workers in the past, given that Korean cast, English cast do come and chat from time to time. The Kha'Zix priority makes a lot more sense. Kha'Zix almost the premier jungler we're feeling based on 3 days so far of the KeSPA Cup, a popular pick, and most rosters are getting not necessarily tankless, but Sion, a tank support, no more, no less. Yes, looking to round out the first round, they will be the ones to actually bite the bullet and take down the Akali. So flexible solo lanes here. Urgot mid lane, again a favorite of Yukal's. The Akali can go in both lanes. I think Jisoo to me is the more innate Akali player just because he is really carried by trade. But again, flexible options and no real things to read into either side so far after the first round.
Yeah, definitely leaving a lot to be desired and just wondering what is going to come next. You notice the side of VS Sharks, no AD carry pick, so we might just see Ezreal Lucian just straight up banned here by the side of BBQ if they want to really shut down Light. Let's see what their strategy will be going to the second round.
Could still consider something like the Caitlyn that's been popular. We saw KEG dominating with that Gumayusi there on the Caitlyn's. There's still strong laning options available. If Ezreal is banned out, secondary ban coming in is going to be the Lucian, so very much going tier list with the bans on the blue side. ES Sharks looking for bot lane carry, ostensibly a marksman, and also their jungler in the second round. See what they want to do about those things, see which one's going to be maybe the higher risk, which one they feel like they need a more informed opinion on, because they already have flexible solo lanes the last minute, and they're sticking tier list. The Zinjal's right up there with things like the Camille and the Kha'Zix when it comes to the current jungle meta. High damage, flexibility, a lot to like on the side of ES Sharks. Now reveal yourself, BBQ. What are we doing on the blue side? Are we going standard, or are there shenanigans to be enacted?
Hope he's not nodding his head about the third Annie hover, but this would be interesting. A Soraka pick coming in. This will be the first time it does come into the KeSPA 2018. First time we're going to be seeing it on 824B. They're also going to have to pick their mid laner here, essentially. As long as the Scion doesn't get flexed to mid, they're going to be hovering the Zoe for now, and it will be locked in.
All right, ends up being pretty standard siege comp here, but also functions as a pick comp. And we know pick comps are right smack bang in the middle of the meta right now. Because the Lucian and Ezreal banned, you have to go somewhere else, and we've been waiting for some Draven action, knowing the power of that pick if you are a Draven master. Light is considering picking it up here, but it's not going to be. That's going to actually be a bot lane victor, most likely, in this particular draft. It's going to look to wave clear against the Varus and Soraka duo. Soraka's actually picked as a counter pick to Tahm Kench, has very strong interactions against Tahm Kench with the silence that we'll talk about more when we actually hit the games. Waiting for the flexes to come, considering a Varus mid lane again, like we kind of suggested early in the draft. Will we actually have Zoe versus Victor bot lane? Will it be the Varus? We'll know at 20 seconds what the decision is.
I saw LS talking to the ref. I wonder if he was just confirming, what was the latest they could go for the swap, perhaps even. And it does get swapped out right at the last second there. Zoe is going to be in the mid lane up against the Akali, more standard. But then you look at the other side, Victor, Tahm Kench, definitely not very standard for the bottom lane of ES Sharks. Can't wait to see both of these drafts in action. I mean, LS, everybody knows he's kind of got that drafting really meticulous mind, and he always tries to predict stuff. I know that I'll watch games with him and he'll try to go through drafts and stuff. So I really want to see if he can actually do it on the big stage and make a draft and see it come to life.
Kind of amazing that in a match where LS is there as a coach, it's the other team that pulls the more non-meta thing, but this has been sitting in the Master Cup, was played by Sneaky back at Worlds. The bot lane victor, you can just go for the E augment and wave clear. Very much pretty similar to Varus when it comes to the wave clear. Just walk up, laser the wave. If it's Q-Max Varus, he just cues the wave. So a lot of safety here, but still the Soraka and her supremacy over Tahm Kench in that duel might be very important to BBQ, getting priority pressures down.
Yeah, so guys, we are going to have an interview with one of the coaches here. Excited to see who it's going to be. Don't actually know how it could happen, but okay, it is going to be the head coach of BBQ.
저는 BBQ 올리버스의 헤드코치 감독으로 오게 된 권기혁 감독이라고 합니다. 감사합니다.
네, 반갑습니다, 감독님. 아무래도 BBQ 올리버스 정말 새 얼굴로 전부 다 꾸려졌잖아요.
네네.
보시는
So this is
분들
the new
입장에서는
head coach,
선수들이 다소
Daniel
생소할 수
Kwan.
있거든요.
네네.
감독님께서 직접 선수들에 대해서 좀 소개해 주시겠어요?
So a lot of new faces on the new roster. Nobody's really familiar with a lot of the different players on the roster.
코치가 눈여겨본 선수들 위주로 꾸며져 있고요. 그리고
Except the supporters. The
BBQ 올리버스
coach has been watching all the other players. LS has been scouting out a bunch of players, and that's how these players were picked.
의사소통 면에서는 문제가 없나요? 원활하게 진행되나요?
네,
So it's the first time foreign players, foreign player and a foreign coach coming in here to the LCK to Korea.
영어를 하고 그리고 이제 한국어를 배우려는 의지도 되게 크고 하니까 커뮤니케이션에 대한 문제는 없는 것 같습니다.
네, 다음 시즌 챌린저스 코리아에서
So all of our players are just, trying to have good camaraderie together, and a lot of them are trying to learn English as well, just to try to make things mesh a little bit better.
대한 평가는 좀 어떠세요?
상대팀의 평가는
In the KeSPA Cup, if you continue, you'll meet a lot of LCK teams. How do you feel about that?
약간 그런 생각을 좀 많이 가지고
And how do you
있어가지고
evaluate your opponent today?
별로 상대 평가를
We're not really
그렇게 할
evaluating our
거면 저희가 할 것만
opponents
있으면 됩니다.
in depth. We're really just focusing mainly on our play.
아무래도 4명의 선수가 오늘 첫 공식전 데뷔전을 갔습니다.
We would rather
긴장도
just
많이 할 것
performance
같은데
specifically
긴장한 선수들에게
on
응원의 한마디
us and how
부탁드릴게요.
we can
저희
make
탑라인
our team win
좀
the game.
재밌는 얘기를 하자면은 저희 탑라인
A lot of players are making their first debut. They must be really nervous. So any comments about them?
하나씩 먹어요.
아,
그래서
네.
그래서 양파의 힘을 믿고 저는
When we have meals together,
랑 같이 선수를 믿는다.
our top laner always eats one raw onion.
It's so
I
weird.
know, I heard about this. Just like an apple. It's weird, so okay.
자, 양파가 과연 BBQ
He trusts in the onion's power. Okay, this is some in-depth, specific strategy from the side of BBQ. I like it. The onion's power. Can it bring them to the victory? I'm excited to find out.
The power of the onion, the power of the Annie, the power of the foreign coach and foreign jungler. Again, we've had full foreign rosters in the LCK, then champions back in 2012, but this is so different, right? This is very much the Korean architecture, the Korean squad with all the infrastructure, and then adding in this new variable of a foreign player. So how the communication goes, we'll only be able to speculate. You know, we ask questions of LS and also the head coach there about how it all fits in. And it's going to be very much kind of what we expected back when the flip was happening and Korean players were going overseas. There is the mid laner here, Autumn, who's said to be kind of the primary translator between the players, just like when we have the same sort of scenarios happen on Western teams, and how that functions and how that affects the team when they're ahead and behind are always so different. Always feels like kind of simple Korean might be enough to navigate you when you're winning or when you're just going for, hey, I'm going to come gank top. But when it comes to some more technical points, like, oh, I'm going to take these 3 camps on my top side, then hold the wave and I'll come top. That's where we believe the translations will be required, and if the mid lane is winning, maybe that's fine. Maybe there's the time to do it. If the mid lane is struggling in his own matchup, that's where things can get tricky.
Yeah, I mean, just imagine it's your first professional game. There's all the pressure. You get solo killed or something like that, and then your jungler's like, hey, can you please
just translate for me for a
this
moment?
thing? I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, I can't deal with this right now, you know? But here's to hoping that things kind of get off to a smooth start, kind of smooth takeoff, because we would like to see the true skill of these players, not kind of like the nervous and, you know, issues that could interact within the team. As you were mentioning, you know, language, but also a lot of 4 players debuting today for the first time professionally with all the lights and all the cameras. This is different from the scrim room, from the pro house. This is the real thing, Papa.
And the stakes are so interesting because the winner plays SK Telecom on Christmas Day, Korean time.
Yeah.
How awesome is that? If you win this game, you're going to be against the team that draws the big viewership, against the team that people will always remember your name as a team that took on SK Telecom. And even if that's a very tricky task, whenever you're in this scenario, that's how you know you've come around as a pro player.
Yeah.
The first step is when you're here in the stadium, under the lights. The second step is when you see Faker and the other stars on the other side facing you down.
Yeah, not just Faker this time on SKT. There's a whole slew of them that are really big legends in their own right.
And yet Faker yesterday, 5-man W.
Yeah, I know.
Still was able to make it all about him.
He looks so happy after yesterday. That was the biggest thing I took away from it. He looks really happy with this new team.
I mean, he's got Teddy, who casually went something like 27-0 on 80 carry yesterday. So it turns out he's pretty good. Any question marks about him? Based on the first series, if that's his entire sample size, he's looking like a world beater. So a lot of excitement about SKT, but we're focusing on today. We're focusing both on the historic fact that we have that foreign player and also foreign coach. And the foreign player is another interesting one. Malice has been in Korea, from what we hear, about 2.5 years.
Yeah.
First year or so, just getting acclimated, not necessarily being a challenger, but a year and a half, you know, basically entrenched in challenger, known for his Evelyn play. Of course, there was some news reports today about some kind of behavioral things that seem to be ironed out. Still, passed a behavioral check available to play today.
Yeah.
So we actually get to see a foreign player, and that's so cool, because there's been players linked before. Forgiven, for example, was always talked about, and I know in interviews he talked about, I'd love to go over to Champions or LCK and play there. Rumors of Froggen potentially going to Asia. I heard China once upon a time. There was a link there years ago. So it's always been whispered, but you never knew if that was just a bit of advertising, you know, a bit of a free connection to the global fans, or if that was a real thing. This is real. This is in studio right now.
It's happening before our eyes. And if you guys are wondering what the delay is, apparently the top laner of BBQ is having some computer trouble, so they're just going to swap that out, and we're going to be getting into the game in no time. I was hoping it would just be that smooth takeoff we were talking about and no technical issues as well. But apparently
some hitches.
It's a little bit bumpy, a little bit windy here. You know, it's the winds of change, right? The foreign team, well, not the foreign team, but the foreign player and the foreign coach, you know, they're kind of shaking things up here in Korea. Definitely the talk of the town right now outside of SKT.
And the winds of change, it came through at Worlds already, right? We already know that Korea is not the #1 region right now. They did not win the World Championship.
Yeah.
They did not win MSI. You can say whatever you want around high-level gameplay and how many stars are here and what will happen in the future and what happened in the past. They may be the premier region in history. They're not the premier region based on who holds the silverware. So the winds of change were already coming. We saw all the other rosters and the fact that everyone has kind of rejiggered their rosters outside of Damwon and Griffin. So much has changed. It's kind of fitting that this is the time, right, where teams start saying, maybe a foreign coach, maybe a foreign player. Other things will come through. The change will continue to come. And that's why it was cool yesterday to see, we finally see, you know, one of the hype rosters, SKT. They don't come in playing SKT style of hang back, put down your control wards, wait for things to happen. They get in there and kill a minute. And that needs to be the new meta. And my prediction, not knowing really who to favor here, because we're talking about 5 players who've never played before, Zeus, who's a 4-game veteran, Neon, who's never been able to find much success. I think whichever team fits the meta based on their play style is going to win. I mean, that's quite simply how it is, because not many teams have been able to scale and win. Even Hanwha Life against amateurs, the scaling approach didn't work.
Yeah, generally the scaling isn't that big of a deal, and you might look at the composition that BBQ did bring in, and you say, well, there's not all this aggression. There's a bit of poke in there, but again, they do have the Kazakhs, and they do have fight starters, right? You got the Scion to charge in, and a really strong backline that can follow up really easily. So I don't think that's more about like scaling for the late game. I think they kind of have a nice mid-game mix. What do you think?
They have very good one-item power spikes. Luden's Echo comes onto a Zoe. Varus, whether it's Rage Blade or the Blade of Ruin King, is able to do quite a lot. They have a lot of pick on those champions and a Kazakhs to kind of finish off the pick play with a Q evolve first.
Yeah.
Someone goes down, you get those early objectives, all of them are souped up, whether it's the turrets for the turret plating or the first Drake or first Baron. They're very, very powerful right now.
Yeah.
And then you have a Siege duo in Zoe and Ezreal that can end the game. He's taking an inhibitor really, really early. So I think it is very much...
Varus,
Varus, my apologies. But very suited for the current meta, right? And given that, I think there's definitely a lot to like about what BBQ has. The other side has the Flex Assassins. The other side has a lot of lane power with the Urgot in particular. Urgot versus Scion. Will we see the Shy come out, or will we see the Urgot actually take over the matchup like it mostly did over the course of Worlds? We see it a lot. We see it here again.
Yeah. Taking a look at some of the players out here. Obviously, the camera immediately went to zoom in on the one thing that is a little bit different, you know, seeing the foreign player there in the jungle seat of BBQ. Now, BBQ has always been kind of open to, you know, bringing in players from all sorts of different regions, Korean players that went abroad and came back, right? They seem to want to get in touch with the foreign community as well, and, you know, they have people hired to do that exact job. So, to me, it's not really a big surprise that they're the first team to say, especially after last season where they got relegated to Challenger, to say, hey, you know, this is an opportunity to try something new, and it didn't work what we did the last time around. Let's take a shot on these guys and see what happens.
One fun counterpoint, though, is the ES Sharks actually have a representative of their own. Just joined the coaching staff recently, it was publicized a few days ago, is Soul Strikes. Now, that's Lucio Park, who was the coach of Legacy Esports in the OPL for 2.5 years. He was a pro player on Direwolves, who'd gone to Worlds before. He, as a player, didn't go to Worlds, but is involved in that organization. He is actually coming in as one of the coaches of the ES Sharks. Now, he's not in Korea today, but he has been involved with Scrims already, and will be going forward involved with ES Sharks in the Challenger. There's a bit of regional beef there. Might be an NA versus OCE matchup here. So if you're sitting back there saying, okay, you know, I don't watch LS's stream, so I'm not necessarily a huge LS fan or don't have a strong allegiance there. If you're an OCE viewer, maybe you want to see the ES Sharks win. Maybe you can make this personal as well.
Yeah, no. Regional bias, I suppose you could say.
Regional beef is awesome.
Even on the desk here, we got an NA caster and an OCE caster, basically. We're going to try not to be biased here going into this game.
All I'm saying is ES Sharks 2-0, keep it clean.
Yeah, right. Annie's coming out in game 2. You won't even know what hit you.
Which role?
It's going to be crazy.
Which role will the Annie
Does it
be
really
in?
matter?
I'm asking you. You seem to know a lot. Have you been consorting?
Annie jungle for sure. No,
Ooh.
I haven't talked to
Tibbers
Alice.
clears the monsters pretty well.
That's true. Takes a little bit of a while to get to level 6, but once you get there, her clear is pretty fast.
And I have been playing a lot of Annie support. It's one of my favorites to go. Other people go Lux support when they're not really feeling the meta pool. I'm an Annie support player. Really, really fun, especially when the base damage is higher onto the kind of rune choices you had there. Electrocute's decent, of course, on Annie, but you want to go into Dark Harvest, right? That's the fun one to go. So
yeah.
Dropping Tibbers, always a fun thing to do. But sadly, only Annie hovers. Just like the Zed hover we had yesterday that broke my heart.
That was on 0 seconds.
I know.
Too. That was a professional hover. That wasn't just like a semi-pro. That wasn't a scrim god hover. That was a pro hover.
But it wasn't a pro lock-in.
We had 3 Annie hovers. So I guess that kind of equals 1 decent hover. But
Mickey could have won that game on Zed. Probably would have lost that game on Zed, but he could have won it.
we'll never know because he didn't lock it in.
No.
That's kind of the way things go.
Only a single match today. You guys might ask why. Why only a single best of 3? Actually, Gen G was supposed to open this tournament playing against, I believe it was KG Gyeonggi, but unfortunately the KG roster couldn't actually field a full 5-man roster. Maybe it was all about timelines there or other things that came through. So Gen G got seeded into the next round. We will be seeing Gen G in the next couple of days. So that's going to be cool to see. But that's why, with that matchup being vacated, only a single match day, single best of 3. Then we get a 2-day break. And you guys might say, okay, Resident Sleeper, no games for 2 days. After that, we have 7 match days over the course of 8 actual days.
Yeah.
So every day from Monday Korea until the following Monday Korea is going to be a match day, except for next Sunday. So the League of Legends is coming thick and fast. Don't worry.
It's going to be a lot.
Yep.
And it's going to be fun. I'm going to have to call in the
you're
help
going to get a sub?
I'm going to call in a supply drop. Mr. Max Atlas, he's going to be coming in and casting a couple of days next
Weird that he
week
doesn't
as
have
well.
a last name. Max Atlas.
Max Atlas. I thought that was his last name.
No.
You mean it's not Atlasson? Max Anderson is his real name, yeah.
Even though that also sounds like a fake name.
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
You know?
Max Anderson
He was
sounds
famous.
like the
He was
name.
in a movie.
Was he?
Mr. Anderson.
But it wasn't
Yeah.
Max Anderson, I don't think. Did he
You
establish
never
his
know.
first
They
name?
just say Mr. Anderson.
That's true. I'll take your
Could
word
have
for
been
it.
him. Could have been
You
him.
probably know better than I.
Probably. Have you ever seen The Matrix?
Come on, everyone saw the first movie.
Well, you say that I know better than you. Oh, you didn't watch number 2 and 3?
I watched 2, and I think between like fingers, like kind of cringing, I watched 3.
Everybody kind of watched the other 2 movies.
Was
that
the
way.
first movie? I was actually. You would have been very young, I guess, when the first movie came out.
I was surprised I was allowed
First
to
movie
watch
was
that movie.
19
It was rated R, and yeah,
1999?
Yeah, I think so.
All I heard was, "What is the Matrix?" I just didn't see any of the trailers. I would have been 12, I think, when the movie came out. Didn't see the trailers, but I was like, "whatisthematrix.com" was the big thing back then.
Yeah.
Back when like making a website was already mysterious. Like, whoa, it's advertising
like the first
on the
one to
internet.
really do that. It's crazy.
And then I saw the movie, and obviously it was mind-blowing, right? The first movie is a fantastic movie,
Awesome.
so I loved it at the time. Saw it with my older brother. And then was super excited for the second movie, which, as we know, history remember is middling at best. And then the third movie just sucked. So unfortunately, it kind of petered out, but think of how many innovations the first movie, all the bullet time stuff that was used in things like Max Payne and other games after that, kind of a very common trope in other movies, tracks back to that, at least for the Western cinema. So that movie was definitely an excellent one for sure.
Yeah. We got on this talking about Max, who's going to be coming in next week.
He's coming in for Christmas.
Yeah, he'll be here on Christmas and one of the semis, I think. And yeah, he'll be doing that. It's going to be a lot of the LCK teams as well that are finally going to start playing. You know, we'll see Gen G, as you mentioned, SKT once again. We'll get into the second round of 8, which is kind of an interesting format. But we have a second round of 8 after the first round of 8 where the top 4 LCK teams are going to play as well. So that'll be Gen G, Kingzone, KT, and Afrika will be playing in that round of 8. So.
And a lot of new rosters to kind of look over, because I think everyone kind of has their own take. People look at KT and see the first 3 players, and like, all right, I'm done, this is the best team. And then the bot lane kind of lets them down, at least on paper.
Yeah.
But then you look at Afrika, who I've already said is one of my tips for a team that could really look good, especially with Nofe coming back in the coaching staff. Griffin needs no introduction at this point. Going to be great to see them back after from what we understand, doing so well in scrims around Worlds. Obviously kind of a weird place mentally, not being at Worlds, but being able to scrim there at least kept them pretty fresh when it came to gameplay. And just going forward from there, the rosters are always so cool to just think about theoretically. And while we don't have the full picture after KeSPA Cup, we know more than we know now.
Yeah, I mean, it was really cool to watch last year, even though there was no English commentary. We were watching the Korean stream, got to see a lot of fun stuff on some of the new patches that were coming around that time, but now it's even later with the new rosters that you were mentioning. It's definitely kind of the preview, the exhibition tournament, even though there is stuff on the line, like money and pride and stuff like that, but it definitely feels like just a preview, a first impression of every roster and which one is going to be the best, because at the end of the day, it's still going to be, you know, a bunch of best of fives in the semifinals and in the finals, and the best team should win, as we usually do in, you know, best of fives especially. So it'll be good to, you know, kind of, if you're a fan of SKT, they finally get up there and they win all of KeSPA Cup.
They've never won a KeSPA Cup.
Yeah.
And
this
given
might
that
be their
SKT
year.
have won LCK Spring, LCK Summer, they won Champion Splits before that even existed. They've won Worlds, they've won MSI. There's not a lot of firsts for SK Telecom T1, and while the KeSPA Cup, you know, feels like relative to that, you know, a tournament without Worlds implications to be a lesser victory, you still want to fill up your trophy case. KT Rolster still felt good about locking in a trophy last year by taking down KeSPA Cup in 2017 and backing it up with an LCK title this year.
Yeah.
And that would mean that when the historians look back on SKT's 2018, they'll be like, oh, but they won the KeSPA Cup, but that was in that year, even though if you think of phases, it doesn't really count because like the phase of 2018 kind of ends with the World Championship.
Yeah.
It kind of feels like an extension of 2019 rather than
KeSPA Cup.
2018.
Yeah.
If you look at it purely based on dates, it'd be 2018. And like the most literal example, because the final is played on New Year's Eve. That is like, we're hours away
closing
from
out the
2019.
year.
We are.
I mean, it could go late into the night, up until 11, right?
It could go into 2019.
We might celebrate the new year here on the desk.
We could start with a 5-hour podcast and then go into 2019 for the matches.
Oh, wow, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
Let's open the new year with the first game of you know, this team versus that team.
What else would you rather do at midnight than cast League of Legends?
SKT versus KT Telecom War final.
Yeah, okay.
I like that.
I'm liking whatever you're selling, I'm buying.
Get some
over here.
fireworks going before the matches.
And then some fireworks going during the match. We saw SKT. There were fireworks going in those matches.
Again, they were playing APK Prince, which seems to be this team that kind of just took the meta and turned it up to 11, you know, and SKT was like, fine, we'll do that, but better. And I think that's definitely part of the reason why those games were so insane. But yeah, I would expect that they, as long as the meta stays this way, it doesn't matter what team you are, you're going to struggle if you're not playing more aggressive styles.
I think they would definitely accept the moniker of we'll do that, but better. SK Telecom, because before it was we'll do it our way, which was very much the way they innovated. They were more aggressive at the start. I think people kind of edit out Season 3 when SK Telecom were a much more decisive team, when there was so much agency for the mid lane assassin players like Faker and Ari that you just kind of were able to take the bull by the horns and just ride that one to victory. It wasn't so much just slow scaling in 2013, but understandably, as the game has, you know, gained fans, people are going to be much more kind of recency bias, Season 5 onwards, 2015 onwards, and that is where SKT were the kind of slow and steady team that did dominate in pretty similar fashion. 3 World Championship finals, 2 victories over the course of 3 years. Are remembered for that slower style. As we saw from yesterday, if it's any indication, even just a snippet of an indication, they are going to be as aggressive as the lineup on paper looked. And that means that, if they shape up pretty well for the current meta.
That they do. So, guys, we're still waiting here for, you know, what seems to be, now they're checking on Malice's computer. That's what I'm looking at right now.
I like from the shot that it looks like you're just looking at the logo. You're like, yeah, it seems that it's the KeSPA Cup.
Yeah, we're...
seems so.
Yeah, still 2018. That's weird. I thought it would change as, you know, as we go along, but I guess not. We'll just be here in 2018. Even if we do end up going into the new year on the final day.
I'm down for everything, you know. I had an idea of what my Christmas period looked like, and then the KeSPA Cup came through, and then it looked like League of Legends. Valdez looked like new League of Legends. And the new car smell so far has served me well. I've really enjoyed every first look we've had at a team, because I am one of those people that looks at the things on paper, and I need to know now what it looks like. The moment that SK Telecom announced all these players, It looked good. I saw some pictures on Twitter. I'm like, all right, I'm getting going. I saw the hype video, and I was like, all right, OGN style, loving it. But then seeing them in-game, you're like, okay, it's not just
Is that when you
the
fell
theory.
off your chair?
I did.
Yeah.
The Vince McMahon
Yeah,
gif.
exactly.
That definitely got me going, Valdez.
Yeah.
People sent some snippets of the VOD from me, and I seem to very much enjoy the Faker 5-man W.
Yeah, you
turns out. I just like good League of Legends.
It was a big moment, you know? Yeah, I mean, you were talking about Christmas plans and stuff. I was going to go back to America first time in a little bit over a year, see my family during Christmas. And then KeSPA Cup rolls along, and I'm like, no, the hell with family. We got League of Legends.
What's a family Christmas? Like, what's the, like, when you think about that, apart from the people that are going to be there, is there like a certain food? Is there a certain activity you guys do over Christmas? Like, what is a quintessential Valdez family Christmas?
We always had like a build order. I know people in League
a build order?
Yeah, League of Legends
Are we
might not know what a
playing
build order
StarCraft here?
means. Maybe like an item build order. They might know what that means.
So you get a Doran's Blade.
Yeah. So Doran's Blade is like morning at my house. You know, just close family, right? We had the real Christmas tree.
Yep.
Open all the presents.
How big? How big's this Christmas tree? Is it hitting the roof? Is it just like a little dinky one?
No, it's hitting the roof.
Damn.
One of those big ones. Yeah, my mom really likes Christmas, and my dad is in on that as well. So we always used to do the big Christmas tree. Mornings there, and then we used to go to well, actually, no, I'm skipping Christmas Eve, actually. Forgot about that. So we go to my dad's mom's side, my grandma, on that side. We'd spend Christmas Eve there, watch It's a Wonderful Life on TV.
Presents open or closed on that eve?
We open only like 2 presents there.
Is it the best present? Is it just a present? Is it the grandma's present? What present is it?
Sometimes the grandma, sometimes, you know, like that side of the family is like some relatives will only come to that party and then we won't see them for the rest of the time. So maybe like one of theirs, you know, something like that. Watch It's a Wonderful Life, best Christmas movie, of course. On TV, plays
Are we
every
including
Christmas
Die
Eve
Hard or no?
in New York City. Huh?
What about Die Hard?
That doesn't count.
But it's a Christmas movie.
Sure, okay, but, you know, whatever. That's the way I feel about that. It's not really a thing.
You're one of those people,
Yeah,
aren't
I am.
you?
Definitely very classic.
What type of
with
peanut
my
butter
Christmas.
do you eat?
Smooth.
Don't tell me. Oh.
Although I did try Chunky because you guys were making such a big deal out of it for one of our other friends, Wolf Schroeder, who seems to always kind of star on this show during the podcast. And it's pretty good. The Chunky peanut butter is pretty good. I think I would still prefer smooth, though.
I think I prefer a different co-caster.
Well, don't worry. You'll get one soon. I'm sure he likes Chunky peanut butter.
He does. We
Both
had a
of you being
trust fall.
Aussies.
We were casting a different game, Overwatch, if we're going to name drop things here, Blizzard Games.
Oh, my God.
And we actually, live, because Winston was in the game, and of course, loves his peanut butter.
Yeah.
We actually trust falled on air. I was like, all right,
It's
Atlas.
like 1, 2,
all right,
3.
Atlas,
Yeah.
on 3, what type of peanut butter? We're both crunchy peanut butter people.
Okay.
So,
Is it crunchy?
yeah. Smooth or crunchy?
What did I say?
Crunchy.
Did I?
What else would you say?
I don't know.
Nutty?
No, like, I feel like I said like clunky or something.
Clunky peanut butter?
Were you
That just sounds like bad
crunky?
peanut butter. I don't want any clunky peanut butter.
I feel like I'm forgetting what happened.
Crunky
like,
peanut butter? Crunky bars, actually in
Crunky
Korea.
bars are a thing. Maybe that's why I said that. Maybe I did say that. I don't know. Crunchy. Chunky. Chunky, that's what I was saying. Chunky. Okay, well, anyway, guys, enough of that. Enough of the chunky peanut butter. We're ready to play League of Legends. Game number 1, BBQ versus the ES Sharks. It's happening, guys. LS's team with the foreign jungler as well, Malice, up against the ES Sharks, having their own foreign coach from the OCE, or the OPL.
Good enough.
That region, somewhere down there. I don't really know too much about that area of the world. But either way, guys, the game is actually starting, so I'm getting really hyped now.
BBQ Malice is that foreign player, like you mentioned. Sebastian Edholm, his name, from Sweden, coming in here, has played on the Korean ladder for 2.5 years, scouted by LS, of course, their coach. He's going to be going for Dark Harvest, so another Dark Harvest user in this particular game. Only one after the nerfs towards that ability. Watching at the level 1 right now. Pretty passive so far. Looking for any deep vision here. LS was letting us know about 2 weeks of scrims, maybe now 2.5 weeks of scrims behind the BBQ Olivers, and probably pretty similar for ES Sharks with there being so many changes. You'll notice Neon not starting for game number 1. It is Wei who comes in for game number 1 on the side of the ES Sharks. So that just means another member that is debuting on the Rift.
Yeah, so we've been talking a little bit about other games. I just want to mention something in StarCraft 2. Whenever a foreign player would play in Korea, they would always cheese him every single time. First time, it's like a test. It's like a foreigner test. Can you roll with the big boys here in Korea? And it's a little bit harder to cheese in League of Legends. Yeah, you can kind of pick cheese picks. Maybe you go for a weird level 1, but that was kind of the meta in terms of what Koreans would do to foreigners. This is a little bit aggressive up on the top side. Wouldn't call it cheese, but he's going for an early gank on the top side with red buff is the Xin Zhao.
Definitely in Korea, there were much less just take your red buff and go gank bot lane with Camille ganks, so there is still an element of it. The rush aspect in League of Legends is a little bit different to something like StarCraft, but it's going to go for a contest anyway. So vertical jungling here, red to blue on the top side, comes through for catch. Should be a pretty easy read here from Malice, whose pathing is something that's been praised, both based on solo queue and scrim play. Right now, he's just taking down the bot side. Scuttle, he's going to take the blue, so for now at least, it seems like ES Sharks own the top side of the map, which will help out the Urgot to go and take some aggressive trades on the Scion, and the bot side of the map, happy stuff for BBQ, which given they had the counter pick here, and we should talk a little bit more about Soraka versus Tahm Kench. It's not just, well, she spams Starfall, and that's pretty annoying for the melee champion to try to sidestep. That's one side of it. The other side is when Tahm Kench wants to use his great health, if you use the silence at the right point, he won't be able to use the ability, and you just kill the Tahm Kench before you can even arm the shield. So we'll see if it's just Emax harass the entire time, or there's a point where we see the Soraka starting to hold onto the E silence field there to actually look for a potential all-in onto the Tahm Kench.
Yeah, and in terms of the bot lane, at least, you know, the last pick Victor, they knew they were going up against Varus and Soraka on the bottom side, so they go for kind of an awesome dude that's not an AD carry that can farm pretty well from range, the Victor. So Tahm Kench definitely will be having a bit of trouble. Maybe Victor will be able to help out in terms of farming his own lane. You see he's only down 1 CS so far in that lane here. The vertical jungling coming to an end. No ganks really coming in here. The Scion being pushed in under turret in the top side. And still just waiting to get a better view of all of these new players and what are their skill levels and how good can they play on the big stage.
Big important part for me is that in the draft, going for this Xin Zhao here with the reliable pressure, we talked about Xin Zhao versus Lee Sin a lot yesterday, has allowed Akali to push up the lane. You need to push up the lane as the Akali versus the Zoe, not to lose out on just all the chip harass and turret damage Zoe can do in a strong matchup for her. We already noted before when we had this matchup that it definitely turns as Akali gets Gunblade, even when the ultimate comes in, has some kill pressure. So important for Wade for now. Push in, keep as competitive in CS as possible. ES Shark's going to be very much about looking for early items, as both teams will be, of course. And the only other thing to speak about is because it's a bot lane Victor who needs that E to get lane control. Really want that 1150 gold for the first purchase here. Don't want an early back timing for Light.
Yeah, that is for sure. One thing I want to note, as there isn't too much going on here, we saw a bunch of pings on where the enemy jungler would be for BBQ. So they actually correctly noted either he's at Wolves or in the base right now. So I don't know if that was Malice or maybe someone else. Not sure who the big shot caller is. Maybe it's the support player. But someone was able to communicate that through pings that, hey, the junglers should be in that area. They spot him actually coming towards mid now and should be safe against the Xin Zhao.
Yeah, more deep wards, whereas more intuition on the side of BBQ seems to be, at least in the early game, the separation. Heard some calls behind us. We have no booths at this event, guys. If you're joining us for the first time, we can hear the players speaking, so a lot of comms, I imagine. BBQ are going to be very loud and animated. Catch invading Malice. Here we go.
Now the smite actually goes the way of Catcher. He's flashing in. He wants the kill here. Seems a little bit too aggressive as Malice not even going to have to flash away, but Catch definitely getting the better of that trade, takes the Gromp, and will get the Scuttle Crab too.
Didn't look like Catch was fully on board with his cooldowns. Even after we saw the full disengage from Malice, the W was about a second away off cooldown. Need the second W there to have real kill pressure.
Yeah.
Backs away. Certainly a very alpha move. Certainly gets a lot of secondary thoughts into the mind of Malice, who I'm sure will be nervous with his first professional game. Catch backs away. He's the only one who expected a summoner there. No summoner required by the Kazakhs. Nice trade coming in for Autumn, but the mana bar is starting to be quite low.
Yeah, corrupting pot, pretty common here to start, but still running out of that just a bit. Was thinking about going back. Decides against it and then starts his back once again. In the mid lane is Autumn. Cat's looking to come bottom lane. Soraka can pressure, but not very mobile. Let's see what Xinjiao can do. They're going to jump onto Wind here. They're going to use that. Oh, nice stun is going to get both of them, but no follow-up as they're too close to the turret.
Gravity field placement is good. Extra range was given quite a few patches ago, but no more. They wanted to play around an item timing. Light went back, got his Hextech core upgrade, and teleported back into lane, but didn't have anything for kill pressure there. They know Malice is going to be on the back foot, and Catch doesn't seem to be concerned about his flash being down. He's happy to keep pushing up. So I like the presence so far. Definitely jungle presence, the only advantage to really separate the two teams. Catch has put a lot more fear into the enemy's minds, but Kha'Zix farming up his first Q evolve and being able to match in CS, can for can.
TP coming in here this time from Sungmin down in the bottom side, so double TP. Obviously the Unsealed Spellbook on the Tom Kent is going to help out with that. Malice might be here to just take some of the wave, as the bottom lane had to eventually go back and pick up some items. Looks like maybe Wit's End first for the Varus here.
But a first checkpoint on the turret comes in against the Soraka, so because of the flexible back time is provided by going Unsealed Spellbook on the Tahm Kench, they get a free checkpoint in spite of the matchup we were discussing, seeing that Wind also has to go for an unoptimal build. He's going to go for some magic resist very early here because it's against the Varus. Doesn't want to just go for lifesteal and mainline something like the Blade of the Ruin King. Looks like Wit's End will be the first pickup here with the heavy magic damage coming through from the Akali and the Victor. Given how burst-orientated Akali's damage is, I'm not sure if just flat magic resist is enough. Feels like Hex Drinker is still really, really important there, but still, of course, has some merit to it. And if it allows the trades, and if it allows now Varus and Soraka to push up more aggressively, maybe that's enough to justify it on the side of BBQ.
Got Kha'Zix spotted in the bottom side. They're actually able to go on in and steal the blue away. So Zoe, you mentioned the mana troubles earlier on. If she wants to try to spam the Akali out of lane, she's going to have some more, as she won't have a blue buff. Just kind of one thing leading to another in the favor of ES Sharks so far in terms of the pressure they put bot lane, forces the jungler there, forces a buff off. Okay, here we go. Wei is going to go for it, actually. Ults away and just right straight into the hands of Malice. First blood, really nice play to get there right on time for Malice, and they'll pick up the first blood.
Some brazen overconfidence, taking that secondary E part there and going in. Thought he had the burst range, did not. Summon a heal available on Autumn. If it was an Ignite on Autumn, maybe you consider it, but given that, moment that Wei goes in, uses the first part of the ultimate, that was actually off screen. This is when we actually started catching up with the action. Goes in with the cleanse, doesn't need to follow through here. There's no way he's going to burst through. He's 300 damage up on his calculation. Again, should mention this is his first professional game, but misjudges the all-in. The Western jungler is there for first blood in his first game. Cool to see for Malice. And BBQ back away. It doesn't get them a gold lead, but definitely will be a confidence-boosting moment for the squad.
It's definitely very nice. Part of that for the Akali too was Proto Belt was picked up by Autumn. That's what he went to go get that item, and he still went in for that. So he had already taken so much burst damage from the Zoe on the way out, but then still decided to go in. Definitely not a good look for that mid laner. How about on the top side, though? Ignite going to be used here up against Hogong, and there is the Fear Beyond Death. See you later solo kill in the top side by Jisoo.
Jisoo, the player people know on the side of ES Sharks, pulls it off really, really well. A lot of trade damage here. Frustrating, of course, to deal with that Zombie Spirit coming through from the Scion, but this is a matchup that we've seen Scions win pretty significantly, so a solo kill there, and also the wherewithal to flash in front of the ultimate. That's what you have to do to stop the Unstoppable Onslaught from being a full disengage. This is the most important play. Flashes in front of the Unstoppable Onslaught when he hears the audio cue, gets it within execute range. Nicely done by Jason.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Malice in the top side, able to find the Urgot. It looks like he was backing under turret is what I would guess, and he's just shut down big time. So that's a second kill to the foreign jungler here on the Kha'Zix. What a start for him.
He's definitely been in the right place at the right time. So important on Kha'Zix. It's very much about opportunistic kills. They're going to be second to this turret. Hogong will get here now. How much are they going to take? Are they going to consider a dive here? He has Ninja Tabi and he has one armor item.
Well, Hogong pretty aggressive going in there trying to clear out the wave when there's three members and a Xinjiao and Victor included. That's a lot of damage. I suppose he is delaying, but this turret is still probably going to go down here.
Some very weird top laner sense because he doesn't have magic resist for the Victor, and it's not like his team was right about to take the turret. They were at 4 checkpoints as that dive happened. They will lose out on the Rift Herald here, so that's a nice pickup, but the turret goes down. The rich get richer. This is going to be a fully upgraded Hex Core on the Victor if he wants it super early into the game. The only advantage that BBQ get from this is that you definitely rate first Ocean Drake lower than the Rift Herald, but if the Rift Herald usage is not on point, this will be a pretty significant trade up for the side of ES Sharks.
Yeah, definitely. Soraka used there as well, just trying to keep him alive on the backside. There's that Ocean Drake. They're going to take out this top lane turret, it looks like. Jisoo, will he do his own 1v3 shenanigans? Doesn't look like he's got that on his mind, so he will back away. That gold will be split 3 ways up in the top side. You talk about the rich getting richer. Let's see what this Kha'Zix here, the new guy Malice, the foreign jungler, can he carry this team with the massive lead he's picked up?
And it's going to be one of those fun games where we have, again, so many debuting players, but we also have players who are ahead and behind in different places on each side, and how the players play from ahead and behind. It's not going to be battle tested. It's only going to be a couple of scrims. It's not going to be necessarily being able to play from behind with grace like some of our best top laners have been able to in Korea. So playing and doubling down around Kha'Zix's deletion potential rather than Sion's side laning strength is going to be what we're looking at for BBQ. Meanwhile, if they can get Jisoo and also Light into team fights, I think ES Sharks are going to be licking their lips and thinking they'll come out ahead.
Oh, they're going for this. Soraka in a little bit of trouble, but actually the Abyssal Voyage goes topside to Wind. I thought they were trying to collapse onto the Soraka, so maybe a little bit of miscommunication there from the ES Sharks. As well, they caught nobody.
They catch a good lane assignment here, though. They get Akali against an armor stacker when she is got the Sorcerer's Shoes already. This is usually a matchup the Sion can really just shake off, but not now with having no itemization for the matchup. So Akali going to catch up on some CS there. Meanwhile, seeing this invasion on the top side, they can continue to contest the blue. There's been none claimed so far by Autumn.
It's been really hard for him to even get close to this. Will Malice try to steal it away? Doesn't look like it. They're just going to have to give it over to Cat, who does smite that one away. The TP was just barely not up here for Hokong. You see it's about 5 seconds away right now. But also Wei has been pressuring him down here in the bottom side. Doesn't have a TP of his own on that Akali.
It proves to be a true 5v5. Big issue for the side of BBQ is they have, a siege duo here. The Zoe and the Varus who want to keep distance at all times. And Akali, Urgot, Xin Zhao are a fantastic dive trio with Victor just raining in damage from behind. So it feels like if you dive into ES Sharks, they're going to be just as comfortable with dealing with that and kiting back. But their dive is superior than what BBQ had. They don't have a PO jungler. Their Sion is going to be a soak for the Victor most likely in a team fight. So given that, you have to be so careful about which engagements you choose. And if you fall behind in vision, which as we can see, you start splitting the map, ES Sharks own about 60% of the map terrain right now. Things get trickier and trickier. Doesn't necessarily mean that the execution is going to be purely on by the side of ES Sharks, but BBQ, let's see if they're tested in a scenario like this.
Next question I have is, where's that Rift Herald going to go? You pick it up, but you got to use it somewhere. It's hard to sometimes get a very effective Rift Herald used this late in the game. You see this ward right here spotting Malice right now.
From behind with no vision above the river. Yes, it is really, really tricky there. They do know that Wei is chunked out on the bot side. Probably going to be using the mid lane, yep, just using it deep here and seeing what they can make work.
TP is coming in from the Urgot, though. Not sure if they spot this. It's very far below them. They might be able to get a charge here, but it looks like ES Sharks want the fight. They're going to flip over Malice here, who is able to get away. It looks like Jisoo taking some damage on the backside. Wei not able to enter this fight. Here comes Zion, straight onto the top catch, and they have enough damage to take him out. Well done. Autumn on the backside, though. Here comes Xin Zhao with the Soraka ult, gets all of them. Wei able to take one out, but Autumn is still full health, is able to help with the help of Hogong here to get the kill. It looks like 2 for 1 is going to be the end of that fight, plus a little bit of extra damage to that mid turret.
Nice execution overall by the side of BBQ. They were in formation. They were able to largely protect their backline. Yes, the Varus goes down, but it's a 1 for 1 as the Akali is taken down as well. The Rift Herald doesn't crack mid lane turret. Not ideal from the side of BBQ, but ESS really kind of struck a desperation in this initiation. The teleport completes, and they invest the flash just to get the flip onto the Kha'Zix. No kill here, no fear beyond death is armed, and notice here, the stun into, I believe, the Soraka silence as well, means there's no time for the Grey Health to be used. You need to be so particular to actually pull that ability off in a team fight.
That Soraka ultimate was insane. You get to realize, what was the idea behind the Soraka support? Well, it's basically only the Akali that was able to get into the backline that time around. Xin Zhao can do it if he finds the right angle as well, of course, but once you kind of get rid of that Akali, she did get the one kill, but you were able to save the rest of your team from taking a ton of AoE damage by healing them all up, and then eventually you take out the Akali herself in the 1-for-1 trade. So, nice idea, I'd have to say. Seems to be working out so far.
And those are the sort of fights that BBQ want to fight. They want to have a turret behind them. They want to have relative safety. I mean, the Scion doesn't need to spend all his time peeling for the likes of Zoe and Varus, and then just to focus on one member. And that's what was presented to them on a silver platter. First, Urgot, and he backs away, and from there able to just focus their attention onto the Tahm Kench. That is really bread and butter for a team comp that has Varus and Zoe, with the Kha'Zix also as the main damage dealers. Meanwhile, ESS, the ES Sharks, really want some pandemonium. They really want the Akali to be zoning away one, ideally two threats, and then Urgot, Xin Zhao, and Victor focusing down someone in the backline. That's not happening yet. There's no Zonias yet to really fully get the full value out of an Akali with the threat and also the stasis. It's coming, but it's not there now.
Yeah, definitely are going to have to wait a little bit before that does come online here. Looks like the Kha'Zix is going to be going straight into a Black Cleaver from the looks of what I did just see. I'll have to get another look at that, but no Duskblade just yet. Not going to go full lethality Kha'Zix or anything like that, so kind of an interesting idea to the way that Malice is going to be playing that champ.
Right now, not a lot of synergy with his AD carry, because Varus, I should say, has already gone for the Wit's End and slowly going to be building towards something like the Blade of the Ruin King, but right now just playing around with item choices halfway between a couple. Seems like Rage Blade, the second choice here, just for more on-hit damage, so the actual physical damage quotient is going to be a little bit lower, but he understands he's not going to be diving the backline and getting too much value until the end of a fight. Going to have to be much more about just helping out, shredding out Jisoo, so I'm perfectly happy with this item build choice coming through from Malice. He had plenty of gold to work with after picking up 100% kill participation, 2-0-2 in the early game. ES continue to try to split up the map. They're trying to make it pretty wide here, but if Varus is one of the people splitting farm and the mid lane turret is still up, they're not denying farm from Zoe and the Varus, and these are usually champions in the mid game where one of them needs to be escorted at all times just to get farm, let alone two of them pretty happily splitting farm with their opponents.
Yeah, they're just hanging out, getting really strong right now in ES Sharks. I mean, you were talking about the desperation in the last fight. Maybe that's part of the reason why they found an opportunity and they really just want to shut down some of these carries early on. But so far, not able to do too much. Not one of our bloodiest games that we've had here in the KeSPA Cup. Only 7 kills in 19.5 minutes. That would sound amazing for, a lot of 2018 and 2017, but we're in a new meta, guys.
Now, people love LS VOD reviews. Here's a preview of his VOD review of this next one with different language. Actually, maybe gonna have to hold the thought.
Oh boy, this Varus in way too much trouble. Nice silence, trying to keep him alive, but again, it's Akali. Nice Abyssal Voyage to get in position. Wei takes a hell of a lot of damage on the backside, but no follow-up. Kha'Zix not able to get there to follow up on any kill.
And that's what had a lot of nice things to say about the control ward line. There's actually a straight line of control wards that goes all the way from just above, I should say, the Drake to the top side, 5 control wards. That part makes a coach happy. However, the death there was just a little bit of really nice play coming through from ES. Love how they use the Tahm Kench ult there. Very nice flanking position, takes them out. And that means they can skip over what was a nice control ward line and just basically backdoor a turret through just a long-range engage here from the Tahm Kench. Just looking over the replay, he walks up, his flash is down for about another 25 seconds. That means no chance of safety coming through for the Varus.
Looks like BBQ wanted to rotate to the mid side, but Malice, you're in so much trouble, buddy. You're going to have to leap over that little wall. Actually, you're going to be just fine. Zeus with the very safe flash, just to make sure he doesn't get hit by the gravity field there. And now it's ES Sharks on the push. We were thinking maybe BBQ wanted to push that mid lane, but now it looks like ES want to go for this mid lane turret. Can they line anything up? Lots of damage onto Catch right now, but not much else. They're able to stop the push for now.
Their sieging's actually really, really poor. You look at range champions, this Urgot and Victor, and the Victor actually took tower aggro trying to poke down the opponent there. I believe it was the Soraka in that moment. So they get basically no turret damage done at all. And again, the short mid lane is really the biggest problem for the ES Sharks because they had different ways to try to invade and get a pick with something like the Akali, unnumbered in multiple different ways by the mid lane turret still being up. They want it to be a longer map than it currently is.
Trying to get control of this blue side jungle now is BBQ, going to be crucial for when that Baron does start happening. It is spawned here, but neither team has really made a move towards that just yet. But you can see, I think it's 3 control wards, maybe just 2 over there on the blue side. But either way, definitely a lot of focus, trying to take control and let Varus just farm very safely up in that top long lane.
Baron speed very low on the side of ES Sharks. If you say who's the best Baron damage dealer, you probably have to say Xin I guess. Of all their members here, Victor not fantastic at it, only little bits of incremental burst in its control build with the Rylai's, but they've invested a lot of time to this mid lane tower. We already talked about how bad their siege was. It was always going to be late, but it is taken down and cracked at 22 minutes.
Yeah, just finally the Zoe goes back and buys that Luden's Echo after a long time farming, and well, that was just the one call for ES Sharks to go immediately for that mid lane turret and take it out relatively easily. Wind in the top side has just been hanging out farming for a really long time. Is up to that 2 items you were talking about, Wit's End and the Rage Blade now, so I suppose now once the fights do start, at least this BBQ lineup will have a lot of items and damage to compete.
But now we have to inspect something, one of the fundamentals of any pro team, which is, all right, we've got a siege comp. How does it work best? Well, we're overextending, trying to get turret damage in. That's not the game state right now for BBQ. The control ward line they had has been removed. You see Varus is so much more conservative, picking up whichever minions are coming towards a control warded brush next to his inner turret. How do you create a game state where BBQ can push out and actually contest objectives? That's the thing they now need to be talking about as a squad. Even though the Baron speed is slow, Baron as an objective is one of the places you have to fight, you have to face check. And with a Kha'Zix jungle, that's not going to be the easiest thing to do, given that Sion will be in a side lane. So how they make the contest plays and how ES Sharks is able to try to close this game, try to get a big advantage, because 20 to 28 minutes is usually where a game is decided in the current meta. For both sides, there's a lot to inspect, but right now, more of the map is controlled by ES Sharks, so they run more of the play.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like that for now. You take a look at the gold lead so far, about 4,000 ahead for the ES Sharks. At least it was only 3 Ocean Drakes. Could have been a lot worse. You think about, take one Ocean Drake, make it Infernal, take another one, make it Mountain, and you could be looking at a decently fast Baron for the side of ES Sharks, who, originally didn't have that fast of a Baron team as you were talking about. So getting a little bit lucky with the Drakes, I suppose, here is BBQ.
And annoyingly, because of the timers, we're going to see, what, a 28.5-minute Drake into a 33-minute Drake. So it's going to be a pretty late Elder. It's going to be a 38-plus minute Elder, so that's not even going to be a place that necessarily BBQ will have to drop everything to fight. It means you can use your control wards on one side of the map and not have to have 5 control wards to litter an entire map, which is almost impossible to get full control over Elder and Baron at 38 minutes in with just 5 control wards. So given that, that's another little thing that really does help BBQ, because right now it's very slow and steady. Their comp can't do what it was drafted to do, which is siege. So they're really more about seizing mistakes and pushing their carries up to 4 or 5 item territory.
Oh, okay, here we go. TP coming in from the Urgot. Some pings coming out. Some go-ahead pings here from the side of BBQ, but ES Sharks may have been able to just get on top of this. TP coming in now, but is it too late? Looks like ES Sharks going to back off the Baron for now. Zoe, you can see how she's so able to use those walls. Ingo's Catch alone. Not able to get too much damage there onto Malice, and it looks like the Baron will be stopped for now.
The play there by ES Sharks, but all they can draw out is the teleports. They basically have to do that all again as mid lane.
Oh boy, Catch just runs straight into it. Not sure what that was. He just said, here, Sion, take me. And well, Hogong is taking a bunch of damage on the backside, but Cat's deciding, hey, I should be able to avoid this stun and stop and let my teammates get in, but that was not the case.
A complete brain fade by the most experienced player when it comes to playing an LCK on the side of the ES Sharks. Former Spenu jungler Catch. This kind of, as you mentioned, presents his life as an offering, as a tribute to BBQ.
Witness me.
Well, he's witnessed, and now he's dead.
We all saw it. Yeah.
He has to come back. Still will have his summoner up from all of that. Just there was no way to deal with the chain CC and silences that came in. But watch the play here. He's under turret, and then he just dashes into a stun.
Yeah.
That's bottom 3 play so far in KeSPA Cup 2018, and that actually does abate a lot of the pressure that 3, 4, 5 minutes of time was required for ES Sharks to set up, and undoes what was a good Baron bait by them.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of tell what he was thinking.
Can you?
Definitely.
Please tell me what he was thinking.
Well, he thought that he could avoid the stun by getting on the backside and lift him up so that the rest of his team can funnel into mid lane, but
they will be all funneling into a choke for poke damage to get in.
And it's like he didn't understand the Scion's stun range, so didn't know that it kind of surrounds his body on the, in a cone in the front side, so. Yeah, I mean, definitely not the best play, but we'll have to tune it up here as we do go along.
If you guys aren't familiar, even though BBQ Olivers were LCK this year, they were relegated. This is technically Challenger versus Challenger. A lot of those LCK players have been taken out of the equation as well, so we weren't necessarily expecting the tippy top of macro or micro, but that one was definitely one to reevaluate.
Cat's getting a little bit antsy, He's waiting for some action. He's playing Xin Zhao. Generally, that spear doesn't point behind you, it points in front of you. Well, the Zoe bubble is not going to land here. Malice able to trade a nice chunk of damage there onto Catch, but he's got to be careful as, okay.
I feel like fighting for this control ward area is kind of, again, ES Sharks just not really understanding what they need to do. They were doing it right. Yes, you didn't get the Baron, but the idea and the setup around Baron was good. Getting the control ward they got down when there's no one pushing the bot lane wave and there's no objective to take bottom side is kind of useless, so just end up giving some ult cooldowns for some inconsequential chunks. Where Wei is, this is the right way. Follow that man, follow the Akali. What they need to do, keep making it around Baron. The teleport's only 50% cooldown for the Scion.
Scion hanging around here. Also picked up a stopwatch, so that's actually going to help a lot when he's soaking that damage just to buy a little bit of extra time. So definitely like that purchase after the first 2 items that he did pick up, especially because he only has that adaptive helm for all the magic on the side of the ES Sharks. You can see Hogong, he's trying to get up here. Runs over a control ward, unfortunately. Doesn't clear that one out.
Running down to Cloud Drake again. Happy enough if you're BBQ to leave this one up. Can't really do much about it.
Wei is kind of all alone here. Can Malice actually get in? Doesn't look like it.
Getting too excited about a full health Akali going down with her million dashes and flash, so she's going to be fine. Just playing a control, just distracting, honestly. It's the play on the top side. Gets a control ward out of it. You'll take that. Get the red buff. This is nice play on the side of ES Sharks. We get the confirmation about 34-15 is when the Drake comes up. 5 stacks on offer. Damn, don't see that too often going one-sided, but that has been bot side map control around the Scion for the side of ES Sharks. Urgot walks up, still doesn't do much turret damage, and given that, needs to get this Brock in. Is he tanky enough to just shrug off and get in the demolish? The answer is yes.
There you go, finally. And turns out, is he strong enough is not really the question. Doesn't he have enough support down here? As it's 3 members of the red team. ES Sharks coming on down here, just rotating on in, and not much that BBQ can do on the opposite side. It doesn't look like they want to turn onto the Baron right now. Wei is still distracting them down there.
This is a really good play. ES Sharks can keep going. No one's recall on the side of BBQ till now. It's only the Soraka that gets back.
Yeah, a little bit awkward here as BBQ. We mentioned a lot of new players here. 4 players debuting, their first time playing on the big stage, and definitely seems like their head's a little bit in the clouds as they're not really sure how to deal with all of this pressure and the kind of weird strategy that ES Sharks is throwing at them.
Scrims are going well. You don't have scenarios like this. They're going to make the Baron play here. So Baron has started. Xin Zhao aware of it. This is where the game could be won. How does this cross-map play round out?
Oh, this is going to be really interesting. They have the Soraka ultimate, that global, but no tank on the Baron. So they're just going to let them tick down in health, and Wei and Catch do so much damage. Let's see how much they can do as they get in. Looks like they'll force them off the Baron. The inhibitor getting extremely low as well. Down will come Soraka to try to help out with this, but who's to say that ES Sharks don't just go for the Baron? Doesn't look like they will just yet, and the game will continue on.
BBQ are able to stop the inhibitor going down, but remember, the inner turret and the inhibitor turret were taken down, so they make the right move eventually.
Oh, Zeus, okay. Light just popped him in the face, and now they don't have a Soraka who had flash, exhaust. Could have gotten out of that one, but was not expecting the Victor to burst her like that.
I mean, she popped like so quickly in that moment. Rylai's Death Cap and Hexcore. Watch this. Zeus right now is like, oh, things are bad. Then he's instantly dead.
Oh boy. Well, a bit unfortunate for Zeus. Not the best look, but can ES Sharks effectively get onto this Baron? Looks like Katz is going to start it up here, 5-on-4. The Forest way back in the base, trying to run his way back. Zoe, they don't even have too much vision on it. Finally now Malice is coming on in. Perhaps a little bit early, trying to go for that stun. And oh boy, Paddlestar goes totally wide, and Autumn is going to be fear beyond death right in the face of the rest of his allies. ES Sharks, they don't even want Baron now. They want the base.
They want to do as much as they can, but it's a nice play by BBQ. They're looking for the gank brush here. Able to get a little stun, but now they actually, as a 4, have to kite upwards because they can't interrupt the Ergo. We're hoping for someone else. We're hoping for a squishier member to get with that chance pick. ES Sharks say thank you very much. They take an inner turret. They still haven't found a game changer. They haven't taken an inhibitor. They haven't taken a Baron. The Elder Drake is still, at best, about 6 minutes away from spawning. So given all of that, the game is not lost for the side of BBQ, but incrementally, with all the scenarios where BBQ had to play on the back foot, they are down 7,500 gold and also 4 drakes.
Well, Victor's here, so that push you wanted to put on here, BBQ, not really going to work out. This Light is just going to clear the wave entirely. They're just looking for any kind of victory on the map, even if it means the enemy Roosters coming in here as Malice going to hop away. But yeah, I mean, you're exactly right. ES Sharks just still waiting for their first big moment to really open up this game and potentially just win it, as still the inhibitor has not gone down. That Baron still kind of awkwardly hanging out at 33 minutes. Not really what we've been seeing in the meta right now.
And the struggle is, how do you leverage your resources? Because again, I'm sure in scrims they had this comp, they did fine in the early game, maybe even got a couple of ganks off, and they started rolling around as a siege trio. Some evolved spikes go out, some arrows and some paddle stars, turrets go down, a Demolish Block comes in, and you win the game, right? That's pretty straightforward. But from behind, with only the Kha'Zix with gold, and Kha'Zix against this comp can't really team fight very cleanly, it's so hard to get resources. And speaking of Kha'Zix,
they're looking for Wei. Can they get on top of him? Malice does a lot of damage, but he might go down here. He's super low. Soraka heal has to come in, and Wei, you can see his sights were set on him, but the slow is there.
But they don't get the full disengage from the Kha'Zix. It could be healed up by the Soraka, so can you stop the Baron here? ES Sharks clearly say no.
Still waiting. So much shouting behind us as well. As we mentioned, no booths, so we can hear the players. Very interesting to just hear them getting so emotional. This is only game 1 as well. Malice, he has a Soraka with him this time. No Akali ultimate. It doesn't look like they're going to wait for this kill. Going for that silence, missing him for now. And oh, Malice going to go the wrong way. Does he have to flash forward? The flash away from Wei. This is the greatest escape ever. He's trying to get there.
Ocean Drake
not going to land. And oh boy, he's ticking up so much. Look at the Soraka on the backside. Is going to get healed. Okay, Kha'Zix able to take him out. And Xin Zhao is doing the Cloud Drake, so can they force a fight here? No, ES Sharks is going to successfully back away.
This game is still not over. Malice is face checking.
Oh boy. Well, he is the Kha'Zix, so he can leap quite a far distance now, but either way, this one on a knife's edge.
But now there is 30 seconds plus the walk back to actually take over Baron control. How much can BBQ do here? Zeus low health, but of course going to be very much a backliner in this particular scenario. Autumn doesn't have enough damage to actually blow people up. The Silence trying something. Not going to pick it all up on that one.
Nice little try, but yep, there was a wall in front of you that time around. Can't effectively drift that much. Gets sleep onto Light, but no can do. Malice a little bit too low, as is Zeus. And we are just going to reset once again here at 36 minutes into the game. Who knew that the game could be this delayed on this patch? Well, we're finding that it is possible now.
And we're also seeing, realistically, what happens when so many players are debuting at once. Because in your head, you say, all right, let's say we have 10 solo queue prodigies debut in a game. You might think, it's going to be so aggressive. That's just not how it really goes, right? Everyone just ends up playing a lot more passive. You think back to 2013 when LCS started, what did you hear so much? We were crushing in scrims, but we couldn't translate it. People understood. That's because people test their limits in scrims, and then when you get to the pro game, they play more defensive. We're seeing a lot of players play very, very defensive, and then also lack some macro fundamentals, and overall, that's why we get a game like this that's a little bit rough on both sides. We're still unsure of the result, and it could still go longer.
Yeah, it definitely feels like a bit of trying not to make mistakes rather than trying to really show off everything you
No one wants to be the guy who threw their first pro game.
Yeah, it's very true. We see it right before our eyes. Malice is trying to do everything he can to get vision on in here. Gong on the right side. That Baron is getting low too. Wei, unfortunately, is tanking a lot of it as well. Can Malice get in there? Looks like, Autumn is going to be hunted down, and Mei is in the shroud. Autumn, can he actually survive is the question. Gonna hop the wall. Wei nearly goes down to the top side. He's going to go down. The Varus has so much protection now. Catch goes in for the flash, but Light himself also has an opportunity here. The Sion is going to be stunned up. There comes in the slow. Hogong is only going forward. The silence comes in. Now they're going to turn onto the Xin Zhao, but the Victor's still doing so much damage. Can they cake him out there? Cat's nearly going to go down, but nobody can seem to get him. Malice into the backline, takes him out.
Can he get another one?
Jungler is going to reset. He's going to get another one, and Sungmin is going to go down too, making a triple kill. BBQ somehow win the fight.
BBQ problem solve their way through the team fight. It looked like it was stacked up against them, but they get it. They're going to turn to the Baron here as well. Low health bars, but they should be able to pick it up with trade tanking.
Unbelievable fight. What was that? So close on a knife's edge for so much of that, but the Kazakhs, Malix's timing was perfect. He came in at the right time after some cooldowns were down, and he knew he could survive towards the end. Nearly dies to the Baron here. But either way, makes it happen in his first professional game.
And because it wasn't just a true 5v5, because it starts with Wei already at 50% HP, there's no value out of the Akali, and while they take down Autumn, it takes a long time through Soraka heals, etc. And that means Catch is out of position. The Akali's life was basically void. There was no value there. And Light, despite being supremely powerful, is in a 3v4 scenario. In fact, 2v4 is the soul of it, given that Sungmin takes a long time to join. There's not a lot of threat from Catch. Wind is under no pressure, and the Soraka living for as long as she did means that it just topped up the entire fight.
Team Malice waits for it. Look at him stealth in there. That's perfect. To close the distance, doesn't have to use his leap, and then can get the resets later on. This puts BBQ so far ahead with the Baron now. They're able to start the push in the mid lane.
Malice is 1 kill away from going legendary on debut as the first foreign player on a Korean team. 7-0-4 is his score. Plenty of bounty behind him as well. Got 1,000 gold spree from the Victor earlier thanks to all his farming. Back away here, the TP is joined in. We're a team fight away from a BBQ Game 1 victory.
That's pretty insane. Now Light is going to come in with the home guards. Nearly does that damage. Look at Catch on the left side, looking for a flank. It's always something you got to be careful when you have a Soraka Varus on the backside.
The siege is so oppressive. It's a siege comp, and they're finally getting to siege 39 minutes in.
Yeah, finally, as you mentioned. Take a look at Jisoo, Light, and Sungmin. All of them low on health. That means they can go into mid. They're going to go for the Elder Drake now. They're not going to try to force it with the Baron right here. Might as well get Elder and then continue the push.
And it's a denial Elder more than a claim, of course, given that the 5 stacks of Drake all went one-sided. Sungmin and Jisoo roll in. The rest of ES Sharks are in position, so no free Elder here, but Light's all on the front.
Light is going to get stunned up. A nice devour there. Gets him into the backside, but here's Malice once again. Autumn going to take out Catch on the backside. Look at Varus. He's totally protected once again. The rest of the team going to go down, and the leaping Kazakh strikes again from Sweden, making his way into Korea. He's in a little bit of trouble now. His team kind of leaving him alone there. But either way, they got a bunch of kills, and where was Wei during that entire fight? Shows up in the backside.
Wei was trying to come in for a flank for an Elder fight, so he was bot side. Now he's just trying to stop some minions, stop the game from ending, because it feels like BBQ have done enough on this push. If they could just push the minions through, they will win. With the Baron buff, 50 seconds of Baron, they're looking for Jisoo as well.
Lands the sleep there, rather. not going to continue on in. As you mentioned, they have so much time here to go on in. Will they go for the win? Doesn't look like it. Just the inhibitor. You have the Akali coming back, 7 seconds on the TK as well. And Malice was down here actually starting off the Elder, so kind of splitting their attention, but they are going to get this Elder in the end.
Looks like we're going to get the longest game of KeSPA Cup, Valdez. I don't know if we've hit 40. We've had a lot of 36s, but 40. This is the first time. Like we mentioned, a Denial Elder gets some base stats, but it's not quite the fully decked out 5-stack Elder that would avail for the enemy. Light dives in, and look where Akali is. That is a positioning error from Light. He goes down, as you would expect. There's no threat on Zeus, and Soraka keeps just daintily walking around like the robot unicorn she is, getting heals off, getting silences off, and they're not able, ES Sharks, to actually put the pieces together to find a team fight.
Definitely, as you mentioned, lots of new debuting players here, or players that haven't played in a while on a big stage, and they're just trying to make it happen in their first big game. We're here 42 minutes in, 2 minutes left on the Elder Drake, and it looks like they want to take down that outer turret in the bottom lane that's still somehow alive.
Funny how games can go. Hearing a lot of raised voices behind us, so the action right now, even though we're not seeing it on our screens, is certainly implied. No one wants to drop. Game number one, how do these players back up from a professional loss? On both sides, the answer is we aren't 100% clear. BBQ walk up, they've got a lot of burn. The Siege having extra burn damage, pretty happy, and, well, gank brushes work for both teams, apparently.
Well, Wei is going to be the bait, and Zeus might be the bait on the other side, but there he goes. He's going to check it out. Hogong on the left side, coming on in, looking for that ultimate angle. The Chains of Corruptions there going to be used on Jisoo. Not really any follow-up available. So kind of a question there, but man, this Zoe has been on fire. Looking for another Sleepy Trouble Bubble is going to open up that inner turret.
The turrets go down. BBQ getting so much gold, and now in the gold lead, despite being 8,000 gold behind. Last time we checked about 5 to 10 minutes ago. The poke continues, and having those evolved spikes with the burn coming through on the true damage of the Elder Drake. Fantastic as well. ES Sharks, we mentioned, have pretty limited engage in this scenario, but they haven't had to deal with Siege. This part hasn't been exposed for 35 minutes plus of this first game of the best of 3. So get to back away. They still have a chance at a team fight, and they gotta get something out of Wei, out of this Akali. If she is, just like in the last fight, completely irrelevant, it'll be a BBQ victory.
So you see that the backs do come in. They don't want to go in for that inhibitor turret because the Baron is coming up right now. It's going to be the most important objective. That poke comp, they would love to have a Baron.
They will win.
Continue the push.
If they get the Baron, they win. It's too hard to deal with a 40-minute plus Baron fully decked out. For a team with such limited wave clear and limited ability to walk up to the wave given the amount of siege that BBQ has. Malice also 1 kill away from that legendary tag, 7-0 and 6. Didn't pick up any kill involvements in the previous fight, just assists. Wind walks up. They finally got their control wards in a good spot. How do ES Sharks problem solve their way through this predicament? How do they find a way to kill the damn Soraka?
I like Malice's play there. He uses the ultimate and nearly finds Wei, but the most important thing, begins that push in the top side. And now it's going to be awkward. They're looking for the Devour over the wall. There it is.
It's on cooldown now.
Light has got to be so careful. Once again, his positioning, the Devour you were mentioning. There's the sleep by Zoe, but he does have that Zhonya's. Now who's going to be going down next here? Cat is the focus, but Wei into the backside. Can they take him out here? He's looking for Zeus, but all the heals come out. And it looks like he nearly goes down, but he is going to survive on the backside. And now Cat in a terrible position, nearly goes down, but the Devourer is there to barely save his life. 2 members in a row. Now they're looking for the Tom Kents. Can they land any more CCs? In goes Autumn. He finds the victor once again on the backside. There it is, the Zoe blow-up. And Varus once again has the room after it's opened up by Zoe. The double kill as well. And that's going to be it. BBQ finally find the win here in the fight and the win in the game.
The burst damage doesn't register, and they don't have the consistent damage. They don't have a true AD carry. It matters at 45 minutes. It matters for ES Sharks. and BBQ Olivers will take down game number 1.
There you have it, 45.5 minutes, the longest game of KeSPA Cup. A little bit of passivity on both sides, but in the end of the day, BBQ Olivers definitely the better team that showed up here for game 1.
It wasn't beautiful, League of Legends, but it's a beautiful result for the fans of LS and the BBQ Olivers. Wonderful performance from their debuting jungler Malice. Comes from Sweden and definitely is a memorable one. No deaths, many kills on this Kha'Zix. Still a series to be won, but many hearts are won by BBQ in game number 1.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it was that last fight, too, where Autumn, we were mentioning, before asking about the team, they were like, they weren't really talking too much about this guy, Autumn, in the mid lane, but man, he showed up big time when it mattered so much here at the end of the game. As you mentioned, Malice comes in here, kind of carries through early and mid, had a couple of really fantastic team fights, but the Zoe Trouble Bubbles, I have to say, they were like homing missiles in the end of those games.
And even though BBQ was struggling, we saw the part where they gave up their inhibitor turret. Remember, the inhibitor was never cracked. Remember, the Baron was never claimed by the side of the ES Sharks with their low engage. No Scion to dive in head first, only the Urgot, who kind of needs the fights to come on his terms. They weren't actually able to kill the game in a way that actually made it difficult for BBQ to actually stay competitive. They stayed competitive, and then a couple of mistakes in positioning, largely from the free-farmed and fed Victor, allowed BBQ to just come back in, pick up the win, and now make this a fun competitive series.
It's going to be a fun series, guys. Stay tuned. We're going to go to a quick break, but when we do come back, game number 2 will begin.